how did you make that transition then from traditional broadcasting, let's say on radio, to then getting into podcasting? And did you have a similar level of excitement when you first kind of discovered this medium and what it could do?
In 1991, I think, I met a guy online, Carl Jacob, who was working at Sun Microsystems. And I was doing MTV, I was doing syndicated radio shows, and I was just trying to figure out this internet thing. And I was very interested in how can I broadcast? Can I actually put a signal through this wire? You know, because this is really the World Wide Web only just kind of came. Dude, were you even born in 1991? Not to be a dick about it, but okay, you know. So you know what I'm saying. So this was old times, right? And I had a 56K frame relay, which meant it was kind of as fast as a modem, but I didn't have to dial in. It was a dedicated line, so I could run a server or keep a computer up on the network all the time. And it was actually pre-web. And but I had registered MTV.com, and that's how I got Carl's attention. And he said, "Oh, dude, I got to show you this thing. Like, watch this." And actually, he was really kind. He sent me a Sun Voyager workstation, and it was this beautiful machine. Again, I still have it somewhere, although the hard drive crashed. And it had a color LCD screen that tilted. It was a portable. It had a huge suitcase you carry with you, and it ran Unix. It ran Sun OS, a Solaris. And so I had to learn that. Not like, okay, I knew a little bit of Unix, but you know, oh, shit, I got to get this thing working. You know, I was like, okay, and it was like confusing, but I loved the tinkering so much. And then he said, okay, now watch this. And then he started up a song in San Francisco on his workstation, and then automatically, boom, a player opened up on my workstation. I started to hear the song. I'm like, dude, you're fucking broadcasting through the internet. That's badass, from San Francisco to New Jersey. Holy shit. I'm like, this is my mission. And there was a protocol back in the day called the M-Bone, the multicast backbone. And it was cool because you could then use this multicast ring or network of computers, and you wouldn't have to send out 1,000 streams, one to everybody. We didn't have that kind of bandwidth back in the day. You could travel on this multicast network, and everyone could kind of pick up the packets, and it was like a broadcast. And I actually did a rave in the Netherlands, and we put it on the M-Bone live. Now, who could see that was really college kids who were had access to terminals and stuff, and it was really the real IT nerds who were participating in it, because it was totally complicated. No one could see it really except the people doing it, but it was so much fun. So I was already very comfortable with the idea that somehow I'd be able to broadcast on this thing. And I just continued to do radio. I mean, my radio stuff continued well into the beginning of podcasting. And what happened was really a confluence of a couple of things. I'd been, since 2000, I'd been working with Dave Weiner on the concept of putting an attachment on an RSS feed so that you could then subscribe to something that would download content, and you'd have it automatically. And it would be a good experience instead of clicking and waiting for something to download. It was like a subscription, which is exactly what an RSS or a podcast is. And then the second thing that happened is I saw my first iPod, and I'm like, oh, that's the same thing that my grandmother gave me. That's a little transistor radio, and we should be able to receive radio on this through the internet. And then the light bulb went off, like, so what if I have this RSS feed, subscribe to a feed with files, with sound files, my show, or just whatever we were calling it, and it sees it downloads it at night, it updates iTunes. You still had to synchronize the two, and there was no iPhone or anything at the time. And then it would trigger an update, and then there, lo and behold, on my iPod would be a new playlist with the name of my show with an episode underneath it, and you could pick your iPod up and leave and play it. Wow. And then I knew, okay, I know what to do. I need to create a show every single day and get software developers to build these radios, because that's really what it was. The iPod was the radio, but you needed the software to make it work. And that's what we now call a podcast app. And there were no apps. There was no concept of apps at the time. And so I started the daily source code. And with that, I was broadcasting basically every single day only it wasn't going out on the stream. I was putting it on a server, and all these radios out there were receiving it, and podcasting was born.
Wow.
It was very natural for me, although with all the benefits, like you can start whenever you want. People can, no longer they have to tune in at a certain time, but they can just go ahead and listen at their convenience once it's updated. This to me, and we have feedback loops through email, and we didn't have a lot of the stuff we had. We had no social media, but there was this obvious feedback loop, and I know how to use that when broadcasting. And the proof was with the development of podcasting 1.0 was literally I'd be talking to the developers, and then I'd talk about what I learned on the show and all the mistakes we had made, or the cool stuff that had happened, or the breakthroughs that one developer had had. And this loop just became a show where we were developing the show and the technology to do it at the same time. It was a beautiful experience.